Welcome to the Authority File, the academic library podcast from Choice. Choice is a publishing division of the ACRL and the publisher of Choice Reviews and CC Advisor. This episode is brought to you by Rakuten OverDrive. I'm Bill Mickey, the host of the podcast and the editorial director at Choice, and for this 4-episode series, I'm joined by Lindsey Levinsohn, an account manager at OverDrive. OverDrive, which was acquired by Japanese internet services company Rakuten in 2015 for $410 million, is a distributor of ebooks and audiobooks to libraries. They've got a huge presence in the U.S. public library market, claiming 93% penetration, and have been expanding quickly into the academic library market as well. Accordingly, they've got a sizable collection of trade books, but they're growing e- and audiobook content in academic categories too. Not that the academic titles are solely what makes OverDrive's book content appropriate for an academic setting, and that's what Lindsey and I talk about during this series, the changing nature of academic collections. There are a wide variety of factors that are contributing to the evolution of a collection, but in this series, Lindsey and I talk about how and why ebooks are fitting into the contemporary academic library collection, how that's impacting collection development, and digital book lending models. In this final episode, Lindsey and I talk more about lending models, the broader ebook aggregator market, and the different use models of ebooks. You talked about the site design and everything earlier, and definitely wanted to ask you a little bit more about that. So talk a little bit more about the site that OverDrive builds with the library and what that looks like on the front end.
Sure. So it's a really clean, user-intuitive site. The shell of the site is pretty much the colors, the logo. What I think is the greatest part of the site is that we give librarians access to curate their own content. Mm-hmm. So once they purchase the content, it's in their collection, but it's I help with a lot of libraries curating their content, but they get to basically decide how they want to do it. If they want to call out featured content up at the top, if they have some sort of a campus initiative, they can make collections of those lists. They sort of organize the content on the site. They can do it all themselves.
Okay. I'm wondering, curious, in terms of, obviously academic libraries are using a bunch of different, I guess, content platforms for their patrons to access different kinds of resources. And I'm wondering what OverDrive's capabilities is in terms of integrating services, if at all, with other discovery layers like Alma and WorldCat and so on.
Sure. Yeah. So in addition to the, MARC records, we do have relationships with OCLC and eBibliophile. We also have our own sort of stripped down records that can be given. We partner directly with those, and then they can load those records into their catalogs. Mm-hmm. But we also have a bunch of APIs. So we have discovery APIs. We give the links that can deliver a link for the products in the collection, along with the general information. Metadata API delivers detailed metadata for the author, title, genre. Circulation API, so checkouts right from the catalog, the holds API. So we have an API team actually who helps get libraries on board with that sort of integration. Okay,
excellent. Is that something you're doing frequently or not so much?
Yeah, we do it frequently, especially with doing the discovery layer integration. Right. The team works a lot with doing those APIs.
Mm-hmm. And what you mentioned the metadata. Where is that coming from? Is that already kind of established with each ebook file itself, or is the publisher providing that, or are you is your team building that itself?
So the data comes directly from the publisher. That's not to say that we don't have a team that reviews the data and makes edits if necessary, if we want to adjust the subjects that they give us to a title, right. Just kind of clean up that metadata. But most of it does come directly from the publisher.
Okay. So clearly there are other ebook aggregators in the market, and ebooks are now a fairly sizable portion of a collection development budget and strategy, and I'm wondering how OverDrive might differentiate itself from other aggregators in the marketplace.
Sure. So I think what makes OverDrive stand out is the user experience. I think it's a really good, easy user experience within the app, within the site. And I think that we also give the experience for the administrators. It's a very easy experience for them to get the data that they need. The purchasing is easy. And I really think that curating the content and giving them control of their actual site, the lending settings, is what makes us stand out. Not to be biased, obviously, but I think the value we provide on the support end is really immense. So we're here always helping with everything from marketing, collection development, outreach efforts, all of that stuff. I think the customer service here that we provide is really great. And from a user's perspective, I think the experience of actually consuming the title is very easy. And they're compatible with every major device on the market, including for our US customers, Kindle. So I think that we stand out from the user experience end.
Okay. You mentioned the marketing and outreach services. That's a huge thing for academic libraries in terms of making sure their community understands and knows about the services that they provide. What are you seeing in terms of what your library partners are asking for in terms of that particular service? And how are you helping them with that?
Sure. So, as part of the launch process for one of our academic partners, what they get is a marketing kit.
Yep.
This is all included in any sort of service fee. So we get customized marketing material for them. Either we can print it for them or they can print it themselves. This is including things like bookmarks, getting started guides. A lot of the libraries will put digital graphics on their site. So we help them with the marketing process.
Yeah.
I have so many colleges that are so excited to market it, whether it's on their site, newsletters, in the library. So we definitely want to help with the marketing because we know that is a huge piece to making it successful is getting the word out.
Right. Yeah. Is there like a specific marketing kit that you might provide, especially when, the library first launches the site itself?
Yeah, so our resource center, we always have marketing materials. We're always adding them. But the initial kit, yes, definitely, it's going to include the library site. It's going to include that getting started guide. So it's very simple, basically taking a user from point A, from coming to the site or using it within the app to actually checking a title out. So that information is really invaluable to a user getting started.
Okay. Maybe if you wouldn't mind, just kind of walk me through the process. So, from the very beginning, so a library decides to work with you and provide, an OverDrive powered site and service. How long, for example, might it take for the library to get the site up and running and the books or, content ready to lend?
Sure. It's really all over the map with that.
Yeah.
I have had some colleges really under the gun, want to get this live right away, and I've had them live within a week or so.
Oh, wow.
And then on the other end of the spectrum, I've had some colleges that wanted to take their time really in the collection development, and they had sort of a set semester that they wanted to start. So they've taken up to 3-4 months. But I would say typically it's about 6 weeks.
Okay.
As long as they sort of get the information back to us that we need as far as setting up the authentication and them selecting their content and doing training, it's really sort of, I work at their pace. Whatever they need, that's the direction that we follow.
Okay. But I imagine you have like a sort of core collection ready to go if they need it to just sort of get them going.
Yeah, I do a lot of recommendations. I like to really figure out what their needs are, what their initiatives are before recommending titles for them. Because I really want to make sure they're getting the best value. They're going to start with a great collection that's going to be of interest and be used.
Okay. Curious to see, looking ahead, if you could talk a little bit about how ebook and audiobook lending, or even the formats themselves or the technology supporting it, how that's all evolving and maybe perhaps what some opportunities down the road might be that OverDrive is looking for, or opportunities that librarians are particularly interested in terms of building their collections.
So yeah, I think one of the main things is that publishers are becoming more open to the idea of flexible lending models to sort of meet the collection development needs of colleges. So whether it's the cost
Hmm.
per circ, simultaneous use models, I also think the main thing is that titles that were previously only available in PDF, so a lot of academic content, guides, tech manuals are being moved over to EPUB. It's been sort of a slow process,
Yeah.
but the amount of compatible ebooks in EPUB is increasing at a really rapid rate. So academic titles that were previously only in PDF are now EPUB, and they're much more useful to students that want to take notes and highlight and use the titles similarly to a physical book. So the experience of reading an ebook and actually using it for an academic purpose is becoming much better, much more enjoyable.
Excellent. Well, Lindsey, thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. You just heard from OverDrive's Lindsey Levinsohn. This concludes our 4-part series on the changing nature of the academic library collection. This episode was brought to you by Rakuten OverDrive. Find all of the episodes of The Authority File on your favorite podcast app or on our website, choice360.org. Just click on the librarianship dropdown. On choice360.org, you'll also find information on Choice's entire product platform, including Choice Reviews, CC Advisor, Choice Webinars, resources for college libraries, our white papers, and a whole lot more. A great way to keep up with the Authority File is to join the Choice Authority File Facebook group, which you can access via the Choice Reviews Facebook page. As a member of the group, you can give us feedback, suggest podcast participants, chat with other listeners, and submit new topic ideas. Sponsorship and advertising for the Authority File podcast are handled by Choice's advertising manager, Pam Marino. And all of our episodes are produced by Choice's digital media specialist, Mark Dirks. Post-production duties for this episode were handled by Choice's editorial intern, Sabrina Kofer. That's all for this week. Thanks for joining us.